The next function that I'm going to chat to you about is text preferences. The text preferences are really great because they allow you to set how you would like to look at what you're reading or what you're working with. You can, another way of saying it, which is very useful for your MIE application, is that it is how the content is visually presented to you. You can change the text size, you can increase the size of the spacing to assist with reading so that the words are a little bit further apart, and you can set a background color and a color of writing, which is great for people who suffer from dyslexia or for people who have visual impairments when they are reading. So I will show you a little video of how you can do this. So, I need to click play, sorry. So here in the Immersive Reader, I've selected the text preferences while I have the Immersive Reader open. So I can pick there if I want to make the text bigger or smaller. So I've made the text bigger. I've selected the wider spacing option for the text spacing, which makes reading it a little bit easier. And then there's the option to select the page theme, which gives you the choice of background color and color of text. So here I've chosen a green background, which you can see makes it slightly easier to read the text. Right, moving on to the next function. The next function is grammar tools, which is also really great. There's a lot of potential to have a lot of fun with it as an English teacher, as a primary school teacher. There's some really fun tricks that you can use. The first thing it does is that you can split words into syllables, and you can also highlight the different parts of speech in a paragraph online, which I think is quite a fun thing to be able to do. So here, as you can see, I'm still in the Immersive Reader function, and I'm going to move across onto the grammar tools and select grammar tools on the right. So the first option allows me to toggle the syllables option, which you can see then splits the words into different syllables, which is great for learning to read and sounding out words. The other option, which you will see now, is that you are able to select the different parts of speech. So I've chosen nouns there and I've turned it on so you can see in the text that all the nouns are now purple, and you can choose to select adjectives or other parts of speech, and it'll highlight those parts of speech in your text that you're going through. Okay, the last function is reading preferences, which is really lovely because you can make it personalized when you're reading text online, so you can decide how you prefer to have things presented. So you can choose line focus. There's the option for a picture dictionary, which I think is so fun. And there is the option for translations, which is obviously a very, very useful function. Translations are available to up to 60 languages, over 60 languages. And there is the translations can be read aloud in over 40 of those languages, which is really great. So you'll see here in the video. Which I'm sorry is now buffering. Okay, there you go. So you can see that I have opened the reading preferences and I've selected line focus. So you can see that it only selects 3 lines in the lit up part of the text. So the other lines are not causing any distraction and you can just focus onto those 3 lines. You can also select 1 line or 5 lines. The second option there is the picture dictionary, which I think is lovely for younger learners. And the picture dictionary means that once you have toggled it on, turned it on, as you hold your mouse over a word, if the cursor turns into a little star, it will pop up with a picture of that word. Obviously, sometimes context is a little bit tricky, but I think for younger learners, it's a really lovely function. And then finally, you have the option to translate all of the text on a page into another language. There are obviously lots of different choices. I've selected French here, and as you can see, the page is now in French. And you can then select if you would like it read aloud like that, or if you would like to change the languages. There are multiple different options. And that is all from me on Immersive Reader. So I am going to hand over to Sarah.
Okay, thanks so much, Amy. So leading on from that to this, the Immersive Reader forms part or is associated with accessibility tools. And so just the basics of, just so you kind of know what accessibility tools is about, there's something called an accessibility checker, which is in PowerPoint, Word, Excel, OneNote, and even Outlook.
Anyways, let me.
Should I stop?
I've got my mic on now too.
Okay, can you hear me now? Should I keep my mic on? Okay, so accessibility tools lead on from what Amy has just discussed. Basically, to help make your work accessible to anyone on any device, there is something called an accessibility checker, which is one of our accessibility tools. This is in PowerPoint, Word, Excel, OneNote, or even Outlook. Basically, this ensures that someone can read your document regardless of their device or any impairments. It also ensures that your text can be easily translated, and it verifies your file against a set of rules, that could identify possible issues for disability. So there's certain visual rules and that kind of thing. I'll show you a little bit about how that works, and I think it's quite useful to actually play around and try and learn how to use it that way. So here is where you would find your accessibility checker. You type up your document or make your PowerPoint. Before you send your email or show your document, you need to go to the top ribbon at the top, click Review, which is where you would do a spell check. Then you would click Check Accessibility. Then you would review your results, and I'm going to show you where that is now in a short video. Is there sound?
Is there sound on the video?
No sound?
Sound.
Should I replay the video from the start? Just move on. Move on. Okay. So,
It looks like it is online. Sound back.
okay, so the nice thing about the accessibility checker is that you can fix recommendations quite easily. So to easily address some of these errors, you will see a little block will pop up on the right-hand side after you've clicked Review and Accessibility Checker, and then you would select an issue, you would open the recommended actions list, and then there's a one-click option by fixing, and selecting these things. You would need to select the arrow button next to the action for more options. And so I'm going to show you another video where I hope you can actually hear my narration. I will also make these available afterwards, and where you can actually, an example of fixing those accessibility issues.
You have to click on it to make it go now. Let's see if I...
Another nice part of the accessibility checker is that you can also be notified of any accessibility issues in your document as you continue working on it. And you can keep that accessibility checker running while you work. So if you enable this, a little bar will appear at the bottom of the screen, which looks like this. If you look at the bottom of the screen here, bottom left, and that shows you whether your accessibility is okay, whether it's good to go, or whether certain things need to be checked or rectified. And there are 2 courses that you can do if you're more interested in these things on in the Microsoft Educator Center, which I would suggest, which links that we will share afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's the end for Amy and me for today. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon. Now I'm going to
Yeah, Megan Daniel's hand is up for a question.
There is a hand up for a question. Oh, okay, never mind. It seems it was a mistake. Thank you.
Can everybody hear me? Hello? 1, 2, 3. Just checking that my microphone is working. Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Okay, so our segment for today is walking you through your MIEE self-nomination form. And I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of you who are like me who haven't filled out their form at all yet and would like a step-by-step guide into the process of filling this form out. So you will see I will share my screen with you in a second, and I have nothing there. But I do have a wonderful fairy who is going to join me during this process and show me what to do.
I've never been a fairy in my life.
Unlike me.
Okay, can you hear both of us? So Carl asked this morning, Lilith, where am I supposed to be and what am I supposed to have done?
Pretty much.
So here we go. So Carl's going to share his screen and he's going to open OneNote. And the first place to start is in the class OneNote. So Carl, if you show them in the...
So please just don't be frightened by the lengthy list of things that I have there, because I'm a teacher on OneNote, which means I can see everybody's folders. So yours won't look like that, but yours will look like this. Okay? So Lyneth, where do you want me to go?
So in the content library...
Yes. Okay, so we open up content library.
Under the MIEE self-nomination section...
Okay, you click the MIEE self-nomination tab.
We've put a whole lot of sample pages for you to copy. So your first step, Carl, is you need your own OneNote notebook.
Okay, so I would need to generate or create one of those. So let's go home, and then I should be able to go file new, right? Nope, apparently not. Click on the word MIE.
Notebook, and it didn't go up, Carl.
Yes, where am I going? See, I told you I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, there we go. My notebook. There we go.
Okay.
Right. Not that one, apparently. New section, that one, Kevin. Yep.
Click on your notebooks. Go at the bottom.
Oh, add notebook. There we go. Okay. MIEE.
Carl, I would suggest you put your name on it.
Yes, I will.
Because when you share it, it might just
Perfect. Self.
help.
Nom
There's
me.
lots of help fairies in this room today.
Self-nomination. Kyle VD. Okay, right. I'll change that name just now. But essentially,
You can't change it.
I can't change it?
Once you've made it, you can't change it.
Okay, self-nomination. Right. Let's just get this right. See, contrary to popular belief, we do not all know what we are doing at exactly the same time, but collectively we figure it out. Right, there we go.
Brilliant.
Okay, MIE, self-nomination, Kafameva, create notebook. There we go. Oh, I can't use that.
Hyphens.
No hyphens. Right.
You want to go?
Start
No,
from
no,
the
no.
beginning. Nope. New notebook.
My notebook at Brescia High School.
Notebook.
Add a notebook.
Add a notebook. MIEE.
If you don't have your name in your
Self.
notebook, it's not a problem. For those people who can't rename and are ahead of Carl,
Yes, for those that are ahead of me.
no hyphens, no special
No
characters.
hyphens. Oh. Right, there we go. Create notebook. Thanks, Kevin. It's good to know that I can't change that name. Okay, so it's creating and it's going to generate this. And then while it's doing that, essentially what I would then do is I'm going to copy the self-nomination form checklist, and I'm going to put that into my MIEE notebook and then work my way through that list, because this is the notebook that I'm going to be sharing with for my MIEE self-nomination. So when I click on and I share my link, this is the link that will be shared. So that's why it's very important that we each have our own notebooks for that process.
And when we share it, that we make it shareable outside the organization. And this is the place that you're going to collect all your evidence of your project, of the way you shared with people, your answers to the questions. But this is for us, and yes, we're going to use it to show our evidence, but we still have a self-nomination form to fill in, which is in the Microsoft Event platform. And if we work on this one, then at the end of the day, we can just copy the content across.
Yes.
So if you go back to our class notebook, Carl.
Okay, so I go up here. I go to click this one over here.
So let's just, if we wanted the checklist, if you right click on the MIEE checklist, in the page section.
In the page, oh, right there. Yep, okay.
And you say copy or move.
Okay.
Down.
Okay, move copy.
Now you can change your
my notebook.
Your notebook to the one that's yours.
That I've got there. Okay, so we just clicked back on the arrow there, took us through to our main notebooks menu. And essentially, when I look at the main notebook, I click the one that I've just created. And then
if you have a section, or you don't have to put it in a section, put it in new and then say copy.
Copy.
Now, if you go back to your OneNote,
so I click again the down menu, I go to my MIEE self-nomination. I've got my MIEE
page. And now if you check those boxes by clicking on them, you have successfully created application OneNote, and you can tick them off for your reference.
Okay, so I get to tick these off.
Have you implemented a series of lessons in your classroom, Carl?
Yes, I have. I did it at the beginning of the term. I have yet to compile that set of lessons, but I did do a poetry teach lesson that qualifies all the 21 CLD skills.
Just checking before you check the box. Okay, go back to the class OneNote.
Yeah.
And let's just run through a couple of the pages without copying them. So the About You page, if you go down to phase 1.
Okay, the About You, phase 1, About You.
These are the questions that you're going to fill in on the form that are all about you. So I already filled them in, obviously, the address. And if you go all the way down, you will find in the list, maybe we don't need to look at ourselves, Carl. Just saying, minimize
minimize that, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so if you go down.
Yep, where do you want me to go?
Those that are filled in are red.
Okay.
Those are the things that we use.
Okay.
So the person can highlight, if you copy to that page, you can write on it. If you've got your pen, you can write next to it once you've copied it to your OneNote.
I would copy this whole page into my OneNote again, and I would only click the boxes that refer specifically to our brochure environment, and those are the ones we've bolded in red, right?
Yeah, so those are not clickable in this form because they're just bulleted points.
Okay.
But the idea, you collect all your information, so when you get to filling in the form, it's just easy. You follow from your OneNote.
Perfect.
So phase 2 is the scored questions. These are the same. We've in that page, for example, Kevin made us a recap video. He made us where to find the transcript. The one thing we do know from Sonia is they are looking for regular use of Microsoft products, because that's one of the things that they want for a Microsoft innovative educator expert. And if you don't know what a virtual field trip is, now's the time to find out. It's not going to penalize you if you've done none. But if we started making everything never and I don't know, then
so if you have a quick look, you'll see it on this essentially this checklist here that we've done. Today we did immersive reader. We have done record slideshows before. We've done saving a PowerPoint as a video before. And it's also quite a quick fix. And I know that that's part of our Office 365 package as well. The embedding of forms. So these are all various skills that you actually possess already. And then if you have a look just a bit lower than that, there is the Flipgrid and the grid piles. So for those of you who make use of Flipgrid quite regularly or still need to learn how to use Flipgrid, you'll understand this terminology once you've activated that step. So you technically have all the tools at your disposal to fill out this form at this point in time.
And lots of those have been covered by the amazing hacks we've watched.
Yes,
and
definitely.
There will be more hacks after half term, and the innovation team are going to fill in any of those that you might not have heard of, for example, collections, so that when we're filling this form in, which we have until the 8th of July,
Yes.
the form for Microsoft, we know what we are ticking or have an understanding of it. So the most important part is that phase 3 long section.
Okay.
So Carl, just right click on phase 3 for me
Sure thing.
and go copy or move.
Okay.
And
Do you also want
yes,
to apply
we
this
want the
action? Yes.
subpages. And now we want to go to your.
Okay, so we're going to, if you see here at the top bar again, we're going to click back. We're going to click on my self-nomination form, and I'm going to create a new section here.
Yep.
Okay, and then I'm going to copy. And all of that information will copy across. Then I quickly open up my self-nomination form document again, and you will see that I've copied the phase 3 long answers section, and I can open up the first one.
So all the individual pages, if you look at the section header, is the copy from that Word document Microsoft gave us. This is a place for you to collect, work out your 500 characters, not words, or 2,000 characters. 500 characters is roughly 4 or 5 sentences about what you did as an MIE expert up until this point.
Yes.
So you were a 2020-21 expert. What did you do? How did you share your knowledge? Well, I know, we did TeachMeets, digital
Yes.
citizenship, created hacks, taught your colleagues.
We commented on those hacks. So you've got all of that evidence that you've been working on for the last couple of weeks. So now essentially the next couple of steps is really just compiling all of that information and making it into one streamlined document, which is OneNote. So that's the part that actually gets easier for you because now it's all there in one document.
And not
Yes.
that I have a pen with my finger, but you can
There's
write on there or type on there, but ultimately you want a paragraph, which I know some people have checked and done their hacks on, that you can actually just put it into Word, know exactly how many characters. So when you're ready to finish the whole submission, you're going to simply open this page, copy your paragraph and paste it in the correct place.
Yes.
So if you go to Microsoft Tools, or actually let's go to number 3 first.
Okay.
Because this is the big idea.
Yes.
Microsoft are basing everything on 21 CLD. And you needed to do a project, you were talking about your poetry project,
I was.
that does not necessarily make level 5s for each one of those. But in this section, you have to not only explain what your project is, you have to say how it rates against collaboration, knowledge construction, self-regulation, skilled communication, so that you show the people checking it, you understand 21 CLDs and their rubrics. You could say it's a level 1 for a real world problem solving because it had nothing to do with the real world and we were in fantasy. It is not a bad thing. It's more about acknowledgement of where your project lands in that rubric.
Definitely.
And it is tricky because you've got to get that into between 4 and 5 sentences and 15, 20 sentences. You've got to explain it so that an outsider, and this is where you need a friend. Kyle?
Yep.
When you've finished, I'll read it for you and check that it makes sense and say, Carl, is that what you really meant? Is that the level? Are you sure that was a collaboration task?
Yeah.
Just to bounce off the ideas, that's what the innovation team and the co-pilots and Tracy and Kevin can also help with. Get somebody to check your answer, that a person, especially somebody who wasn't in your department, so that they have to rely on what is written there.
And I think what we need to just remember is that, when we're looking at these different things in terms of real world problems and problem solving and innovation, we've spoken about this before, that it can be as simple as bringing a level of awareness to something that is real world. So if your theme or your link, so if you're dealing with pollution, you're dealing with the ocean, that is the real world situation. We are not necessarily solving that problem, but we are contributing to a level of awareness around it. So it really just depends on how well you can kind of broad spectrum your projects and engagement.
So then the next thing is that the level 4 and 5 is the artifacts. For me, evidence.
Yes.
Evidence. Screenshots, links to PowerPoints, links to the things that the children used to complete their project. And you have to demonstrate the desired learning objectives. So in other words, did your project achieve what you wanted to do? Did it make the 21 CLD labels and categories? What Microsoft tools were crucial in the learning? So in other words, could the project be done without that Microsoft tool? If the answer is yes, then it is not crucial. So we need to make sure that there are Microsoft tools. And once again, we have to explain it. But the whole reason why we're using a OneNote is that ultimately in the other section of the form, you will be pasting this link. So here is your place to expand on the instructions, expand on what is written there.
And I think the idea is that with your artifacts, you're using it as evidence. And if it didn't meet, if you felt that it didn't quite get there, discuss that, engage with that, because there's reasons why in terms of that, perhaps in theory, yes, we thought it would, but in practicality, it didn't. So, and there's nothing wrong with adhering to that or acknowledging that, and then just simply saying, this is what I could implement later to make it work like that. It's just that we're keeping ourselves quite reflexive in the process and kind of working back, making sure that we're always implementing 21 CLD, which for most of us, we have been doing it for a long time. We just didn't really realize that it was 21 CLD. So that's the great thing.
And that links right back to number 2, where you get more chance to discuss your tools. And this is about accessibility, which is what Amy and Sarah went through today. And then you can add more. And lastly, it's about how you shared. Number 6, how you shared. We will obviously, you can in your OneNote put the link to the part of the Teams meeting that has your hack in it. You can talk about your hack. You can put, but ultimately what you're copying into the application is a 500 to 2,000 Rand. 2,000 Rand, listen to me.
2,000 character.
Very expensive hack, that one. It must be the one you did, Carl. So you're going to just copy the paragraph into there, but the person will have had an link to this.
And also just remember that for those of you who've already done the MIEE nomination process before, a lot of these answers and responses, you have a really formulated thinking around. So those slideshows and videos that you generated and created, you do already have some of these answers. You just need to bring those answers in line. You need to update them and bring them in line with the 21 CLD. And for that process, you need to align them with your new lesson, your new artifacts. So it's really just an update and an upgrade, but for the most part, the thinking has very much been the same. Okay, but I think we are out of time, if I'm not mistaken.
And now I'm going to take the magic device, push start rooms, and if you have any questions or you want to go over that in your groups and your breakaways.
So this is my good side. Did you see that?
This is my good side. So let's push start rooms and fade out on our good sides, Carl.
There we go.
It takes too long. It takes
Kevin,
too long.
fade, Kevin. Kevin, fade.
And
okay, I'm turning my mic off.